Welcome to another live session on the Oak and Rock Fatherhood channel. As always, you've got myself, Zachary Small, and Anthony Migliorino. Joining us tonight is Cala from Greater Forever. Cala, welcome to the show, brother. Welcome to the live stream. How you doing?
What's going on? Thanks for having me tonight.
I'm going to have to start calling you the repeat guest. You've been on here a few times now, so we're going to have to keep it rolling. So tonight we're talking about childhood obesity. And what greater person to have on, with us having this discussion than a sports and nutrition coach. So Cala, before we dive into childhood obesity and the main topic on connecting families and then helping them live a lifestyle that allows their child to have a healthy body composition, what got you into this? Who's Cala from the sports training angle?
Yeah, well, typical story. I grew up as that kid growing up.
Cala from the sports training angle.
And so, growing up, I was teased about it, and I didn't care too much. But then when I was hitting my early 20s, I was kind of wanted to my life, and started living on my own. I was living in Toronto. And being alone kind of really kicked things into gear in terms of me focusing on body image and wanting to portray or reveal a better version of myself. So where I moved, it had a gym, so I joined a gym. Anything but nutrition. I just kind of figured if I was eating whole foods, I wouldn't have to worry about much, and I didn't at a young age. Just sticking to whole foods and going 3 or 4 times a week, improve my body composition. But then I would say 6 years ago, I had these crazy flicks of rat all over my body, to the point it was becoming unrecognizable, and it just kept happening like rapid flares. So I had to make a change very quickly. I went to see several doctors because we couldn't figure out what's going on, to a functional medicine doctor, and we did a live blood analysis where we saw a yeast overgrowth in my blood, saw food particles still in my blood after 15 hours fasted. So there was something going on in the gut. And so I knew that sugar feeds yeast. So I cut all sugar from my diet. No starch, no fruit, no candy, obviously. Essentially, meat and green veggies. And within a few weeks, all my symptoms vanished. But for whatever reason, I still had this rat hand. So I stuck to the diet. And within a month, what I recognized by following this diet was life-changing. My body composition quickly improved. I dropped a ton of body fat. My cravings for sweets or processed food diminished. My energy levels were skyrocket. So I thought I found this food freedom, and thought, okay, this is the diet for me. And, I back in training because I said my body composition was improving. Got back in lifting. This is the diet for me. 6 months stuck at the leanest physique in my 30s, feeling great, but I was starting to get scrawny, I was too lean. So I wanted to start introducing carbs in my diet, but at this point, being in a restricted mindset for 6 months, I developed this food phobia towards carbohydrates. Is when I considered hiring a nutrition coach to kind of put myself in the face and smarten up with eating behaviors. So we started cycling carbs and started looking at nutrition as a big factor in composition, looking at nutrition as fuel for the body, pairing it with my training. Within a first month of now including more carbohydrates in my diet, my strength improved. I was now having a better understanding how to partition nutrients around training, physical activity, what have you. And I just kept wanting to learn more kept wanting to learn about nutrition, more what optimal health looks like. So I started studying. I created a Facebook group, keep me accountable to my diet, share what I'm learning, and develop this community of like-minded individuals who really focus on optimizing health, nutrition, and I haven't stopped since.
Cala, you have some wild audio going right there.
Yeah, man.
It is like a skipping record, but I understood everything you said, so we let it roll.
He doesn't stutter. It's definitely the audio.
No, that was perfect. You know, in the sense that I got everything you said, but it sounded like a remix.
Oh, shoot.
But it's cool, man,
good.
because hey, that's the experimenting on the self, living it through. The lessons that you're sharing, they're not coming from theory. They're not coming from anything outside of your experience and understanding that by taking an intentional control and direction of your nutrition, you changed your physique, you changed your mindset, you changed your overall life experience by living intentionally. I had a call this morning. We did a podcast with Justin Copeland on navigating the intentional life. And he talks a lot about that. Living intentionally, being in intention with the actions you take. I think that plays really well into tonight's discussion. Being intentional with all the things you're doing in your family, how can we overlook the health, the literal physique of our children? The literal physiology, their body. We want our kids to do well, but we're not going to help them do so in the vessel that they have to navigate the world. If you want to live a good life, you've got to be able to do things. And we see, I mean, the statistics are huge. I'm about to bring them up. But the statistics for childhood obesity, to me, that is where our entire focus should be. Not on COVID, not on the flu, not on any of these things going on, not on variants. It should be on obesity. And my personal opinion is on both adult and childhood obesity. My master's thesis was on this, the sociological and the economic impact childhood obesity has on America. The numbers are staggering. It is insane what's happening to our kids for a variety of reasons that we'll get into. But I think there are a lot of parents out there who overlook, oh, this is not that bad. They're a cute, chubby baby. Both of my kids, chubby babies. But by the time they were 2 or 3, they were leaning out, running around, and they just totally normal body composition. And that's what we've maintained up to this point. So one of the things I've seen is when these kids are overweight, you do have that fat kid running around. You look at the parent. If the parent's lean, I'm like, why are you letting this happen to your kid? If the parent's overweight, all right, they're following your example. So we really need to address this directly. And while it may feel like a targeted attack on those who do have children who are overweight, you know, this is everything we talk about tonight is done with love. Everything we talk about is done with the intention of helping you help yourself. We want your kids to win, but if you can't see that they're fat, then you're going to overlook it. Oh, he's not talking to me. No, I am. If your kid has a bunch of rolls and they're beyond the age of 3 years old, we really need to look at why that is. It's not their thyroid. You know, it's not, oh, just kids these days, they're supposed to be a little chunky. No, it's a result of what you're putting into their body and what they're doing with their body. So, Anthony, have you had any, like I said, my kids, they were chubby kids, but after that, they were just rolling with it. Did you ever find yourself having to deal with this, you know, navigating or controlling what the family was eating? Or were you and your lady already, as parents, rolling and being intentional with how you were eating in front of them?
No, that's good, man. I'm a little older, and I would say the emphasis on nutrition was not as critical as it is now, right? When my kids were younger, we were actually still eating McDonald's. We didn't really see anything wrong with it at the time. You know, obviously it stopped a long time ago. But I would say me and my wife, we both had to go through a journey on self-improvement, bettering ourselves, eating healthy. And absolutely, man, that is the one thing that helped our children learn healthy habits. We're really big into, excuse me, family dinners.
COVID, maybe you should eat healthier and you wouldn't be dying right now.
All right. No, we're really into family dinners. We cook as a family. My girls cook all the time, and we make healthy foods. Similar to Cala, I went through a health issue with my gut, and it's something I'm still working through this day. And I've developed allergies, so we have to cook a certain way in my home. And collectively, we come together and we all cook what's good for us. So it's really cool to see. and it definitely, the one thing I will say is, with little kids and being obese and overweight, um, being in poor health affects your mental clarity, right? When I was sick and when I didn't feel good and I was always tired, and I didn't even realize how messed up I was until I started to heal, until I started to get in better shape. And I wasn't even obese. I was just in bad health. But once you start to get healthy, you remember what that feels like, man, and it's amazing. So I couldn't even imagine what these young kids are going through, or anybody who's overweight and who's struggling, like to climb up a set of stairs and be out of breath. Um, Once you start getting those reps in and you start becoming stronger, you start losing weight, putting on muscle, you can't even fully grasp how good you start to feel, man. Like your energy, your mood, your clarity, it's like you become a different person. So whatever information we can give tonight to help families, to help their children, spread this message, right? How important it is to be able to take care of yourself. I think that's for me, that's the key thing. We want to teach our kids by our examples that they need to take care of themselves, because the benefits are massive.
With that, Cala, I mean, you run Greater Forever, which sustainable fat loss is the first thing you hit before mindset and leadership. With that, are you finding parents coming to you and having to deal with it and then it's spreading to their kids? Because I firmly believe it starts, with us. We've got to set the example. Is that what you're seeing with the clients you're working with?
Absolutely. What I'm actually seeing the most is, I'm still very new into coaching world. This is my second year of coaching full time. Is it still skipping?
Yeah, yeah. I tried not laughing, dude.
Are you also a DJ, Cala?
Yeah, DJ Cala.
Hey, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna just turn this off.
Just go with it. Just yell at us. You're muted.
You're muted. Welcome to Oak and Rock Fatherhood. we're Oaks, we're Rocks. That doesn't mean we're tech whizzes. All right, Cala, go ahead.
Check. All right. So, what was I saying? Yes. What I'm noticing the most is, a lot of these poor behaviors, from eating behaviors, really stems from how we respond to stress, and so emotional eating is a big behavior that needs attention. Stress eating, but also eating out of boredom, not being intentional. These are all things that we've been conditioned to, and because it's been normalized by like the masses, and so what I want to touch upon the most, regarding fatherhood and nutrition is, you got to lead by example, but it kind of needs to go a step further when you're putting yourself in the mind of a child, because they're not going to know anything about nutrition. They kind of just you put food on their plate, they're going to eat it. So some habits to have a better relationship with your eating behaviors with your children could be explaining why you're eating these foods, why you've selected these foods, what they're going to do to your body. Like Anthony was saying, have them be included in the food preparation. Go bring the kids to where you purchase the foods, bring them to farms, show them how food is grown, or how animals are raised. This will help paint a better picture at an early age, instead of growing up looking at food as entertainment, convenience, instead of looking at food as nourishment and energy.
Yeah, that's a good point, Cala. Why do you think that so many, we talk about how obesity is so rampant in society, especially in children. Why do you think, this is for both of you, right? Why do you think that most parents, or a lot of parents, are not taking the time to do these things, right? It's common sense. We should, as fathers, as mothers, we should be teaching our kids about food and nutrition, being healthy, and we just not seeing that. Why do you guys think there's such a big disconnect there?
Go ahead, Cala.
Uh, I honestly think because it's normalized to not look at food as nutrition. It's been okay to have a cupboard full of ultra processed foods. Um, like you mentioned earlier, going to McDonald's, it seems like that's just like a staple habit to get into. So it's not so much that parents are choosing to ignore the priority of health. I just think that it's a lot of neglect or even ignorance of knowing what optimal health is, what prioritizing your health looks like.
I think I'm going to take a different angle on it. And there's two things at play here. One, I'm going to look at the broad, and the next I'm going to look at 2021. In the broad sense, I think a lot of people can't overcome their base desire. A lot of men, when you see men addicted to porn, it's because they can't control their sexual urges. So they constantly have to find that release. That's how they deal with their stress and whatnot. And with food and just modern living, our base desire as human beings is like maximum comfort and just staying alive, which means eating and being safe. So people sit and they're comfortable and they just eat whatever they can. I mean, Debbie snacks taste good. McDonald's tastes good. These things are literally, they're horrible. They're not even real food, but they taste good. So, and your brain can't tell the difference. It's like when you watch porn, you're having sex with her in your head, even though you're not. Eating McDonald's and all this, you feel like you're eating food, but you're not. It's absolute trash, proven to be trash. So there's that angle. And I think a lot of parents don't know. A lot of parents were raised on fast food. A lot of parents were raised, with these microwave things that were popping out. And there's a segment for sure where mom was baking in the kitchen or dad was, out grilling and doing his thing. That's sort of how we operate in our home, but that's intentional. I've tried stripping away all these poor habits or defaults to just comfort and how do I want to live? What type of body do I want? What type of relationship do I want? And so therefore, unless you're going to have that coming to Jesus moment that I had where I chose the direction of my life, you are going to find to those base desires of just what's easiest. A microwave pizza is much easier to have than homemade sauce, cheese, putting on your own ingredients and making your own dough. It takes work and people don't have the time for that, or they don't care enough to want to do it. The other part though, 2021 was hard, man. It's stressful. People have to worry about a lot of things, whether they're going to keep their job, whether they should get this vaccine. And I think they're coming home and they're just like, fuck it. Like the world's going to end anyway. Like, go ahead. We can have cake tonight. Go ahead. We can do the cupcakes tomorrow and we have ice cream for breakfast. The world is so hard. They just want to bring happiness home. So like, hey kid, here's this. Let's get some pizza tonight. Let's do this macaroni and cheese for it. And this little thing that started as, we're going to make us happy and deal with how the stress of the world in month one. Well, this has been going on for almost 2 years. Or I would say, I can't think of the date right now, but let's say 18 plus months. They've been in that same loop of comfort because the world is so crazy for them that they want that sanity and that happiness. So it's watch a TV show, play a video game, eat some shitty food. And that's how they're coping with what's going on in the world. And we're seeing it. I was looking at the stats. Childhood obesity, it was like 19.3% of children are obese between the ages, I think it was like 9 to 14 or maybe 6 to 14. That was in 2018. Throw COVID into the mix in 2021, the number's higher. I 100% guarantee that. And I think it's a product, not just of bad parenting. I think the parents don't know what they're doing. And I think the bar is lowering so much that when I was in high school, you made fun of the fat kid. They were probably offensive linemen because there weren't many. We didn't have a lot of fat kids in my school. And when you go to schools, when I go to my kids' schools, you can see a lot of these kids, they're just bigger. And I don't think the parents love them any less than our parents loved us. I think there's something in the lifestyle that we're living. There's something with COVID. It's just a combination of all these things. We have the perfect storm for destroying the physiques of our children. And it's unfortunate because these parents realize it after the fact when the kid's ashamed to go to the party with his friends. He doesn't want to go to the beach. And you're like, shit. Now he's seeing that he's overweight and it's impacting him with his friends and his life experience. And at that point, you've done a lot of damage. You have a lot of work to undo by then. So hopefully for those who are younger, we can catch you now in this conversation. But also for those who maybe your kid's a teen and they're very overweight, you can come out of that too. And Cal, I mean, you literally work with people fighting out of that. You know, Anthony, and a lot of our fatherhood Zooms and FOE, men will come in and they'll start working on themselves and they'll share, hey, I did this. Now my kid's doing this too. My wife's on board too. So you can save yourself. And, you know, I'll be Mr. Optimist here. You're never too late, but you have to start. And I think that's a very clear point we can all agree on. If you don't start living intentionally and eating intentionally, well, your kid's going to suffer the most because you are past that point of trying to grow and just develop your friendships. If you're giving up, like, okay, that child is still forming their mind. That child is still working to grow. That child still has so much to do. I'm not saying your life is gone, but if you're 50 plus, and you're like, well, shit, well, you had 50 years, man. You had a good run. But if you're 5, well, dude, you've already limited your entire growth. Your trajectory is horrible. You're going to have a lot of preventable pain that you're going to go through. So I think that combination, we need to address it and accept that parents aren't shitty for doing this, but they're shitty if they stay after listening to this video.
Yeah. Something that I say a lot is a lot of people say, you know, you are what you eat. But really it comes down to you are what you repeat. And like you mentioned, you know, this year or the last couple of years have been very stressful for a lot of people, and where they probably did develop a lot of repetitive habits that were responses to stress. And that typically means overeating or selecting poor, nourishing food. And like you mentioned earlier, you know, if depending where you are in life, I think a lot of hesitation from adults is, you know, I have a lot of work to do. It's just going to take too long. I might as well just keep doing what I'm doing. Well, I'm here to tell you that, you know, like my nutritional journey started maybe, you know, 6 years ago. So that was still my early 30s. And even then I thought, you know, like, you know, it's going to be a long hill battle. And I can tell you that it's remarkable how adaptable we are. When we start putting in the work and we be consistent with it, you're going to see the results pretty quickly, not only physically, but mentally as well. Because, you know, the more that you practice something, the more it becomes automatic, the more it becomes part of your identity. So if you're thinking that, you know, it's too late or it's an uphill battle that I just don't want to do it, you can't really afford to not start. And it's going to be a lot easier than what you're creating in your mind, the movie, the self-sabotaging thoughts.
You know, we often talk, Anthony, when you talk about changing families and the direction you're going, to not flip the script and just change everything. And Cala, right there, you're talking, you know, A, it's not too late, but B, it's going to take some time. You know, don't try to flip everything literally tomorrow. Throw everything away. We're never going to eat like this again. Like, it's too much. It's too extreme. Anthony, do you think it's more bad nutrition or sedentary living that most kids are facing, and that's what's causing this? Because I don't think you played as much video games as kids play now. So when you were growing up and, you know, if you had the McDonald's, whatever, I mean, I know I didn't. My ass had to be outside if the sun was out. Street lights come on, I came back home.
Yeah. No, I definitely think there's a lot of kids who are not getting outdoors enough now. You know, when I was younger, we used to go out and we used to play sports. We would go from door to door and call for kids to come out and play. Right, we're going to be playing a baseball game. Come to the dead end, and we would coordinate it. There would be no adults, and you know, there was fights, there was arguments, but we handled it within that little circle of neighborhood kids. And not only were we getting out and getting exercise, but we were getting out and learning how to be human, learning how to communicate and solve problems. And a lot of kids now, they don't get that, right? They're inside, they're watching TV or Netflix, they're playing video games. And if they do go out, they're at a sport that's organized by 12 adults. Everybody's telling them where to go, where to run. And it's not fun, right? At least when I watch it, it doesn't look too fun. But no, I think a lot of it, why we're seeing what we're seeing has to be from ignorance, right? I don't think a lot of parents know, they don't understand because they don't really know about themselves, right? How can we lead our kids to a better place if we're struggling ourselves. I think once you start to change your behaviors, change your habits, obviously your kids will follow. And I also think even more so than that, you have a responsibility to encourage and motivate and allow your kid to eat healthy, right? To not only be the example, but to lead them into living a healthy life, right? Show, not just showing them, but when you guys sit down at dinner, right? Not screaming, yelling at them to eat their food, to eat their broccoli because it's good for them, right? We want to create good habits. We want them to have healthy relationship with food. So when they sit down at the table or they sit down for breakfast in the morning before school, we don't want to be rushing them. We don't want to be yelling at them for missing the bus or getting their homework done. And these are all steps to becoming a better parent. The night before, have the lunch packed up, ready to go. Have the shoes by the door. Make sure the homework's done. Make sure your kid gets up early enough. And then as the morning progresses, you're more prepared and things don't have to be crazy. And then you can sit down with your kids and you can eat a normal breakfast. But think about how many movies you see nowadays where the parents come down the stairs, the dad's drinking coffee, the mom's like, "Oh, I made your breakfast." He's like, "No, I got to go to work." The kids are grabbing a banana, running out the door to catch the bus. Like Cala said, this has been normalized. It's really unhealthy, and not just the physical unhealthy, the mental drain and the stress, and just the environment of constantly going and being under this pressure. Man, it hurts. So there's a lot of different things to it.
Colton said it's both. Completely agree. Shout out to Colton. To that
I
point,
don't believe anything
in the
Colton
morning,
says.
dude, I do not grab my phone first thing in the morning. I refuse to live like that. I'll sit there, I'll talk to Jackie, do whatever. I do not like starting, like tapping the screen. And it's just not the right start to a day. So you can't wake up at level 10, like, all right, I'm back in the grind. Dude, wake up, start your day, enjoy your day. And to Jimmy's point, he says, how many adults self-medicate with food to deal with stress in their lives? Cala, you hit the nail on the head, and Jimmy says those adults pass that along to their kids, perhaps unaware of what they're doing. Dude, we have had so many discussions where they're like, well, I told my kid, hey, if you do this thing, I'll buy you ice cream. If you do this thing, you can have some chips. It's like a dog, like, here's your treat. Well, happiness, my good performance gets food. That's great. Food's a good thing. It makes me happy. Anthony, as what you were saying about going out, I shared a video today with my son and a few of his friends. Literally, it was like a hybrid of baseball meets football meets boxing. And they're basically out there kicking each other's ass. And inside, my daughter was playing and they're doing their ornaments, but they were running around like constantly after the fact, just around the house and doing their thing. They were active. And at one point, they could have sat and just jumped on a screen or tablet, but I was like, no, like, go do something, earn that. And so I wonder, Cala, or Anthony, either, whoever wants to jump on it. I believe that relaxation is earned. I believe that TV time, tablet time, I'm not against these things. You can sit in your phone and I'm on my phone. Who am I to say you can't be on it and learn tech too? We can't hide our kids from tech, but it has to be earned. Like, truly, like, get your workouts in, read your book, do the thing, do the stuff you wanted to do today. All right. Now, if you want to sit and play a game on your tablet, or if you want to play, on the Xbox, you can do that. But that can't be your steady state throughout the entire day. It's like, you want that ice cream sandwich? Cool. You want that ice cream sundae? Neat. Work out. Make sure you earned it. Make sure you put in the reps, not to build an unhealthy relationship, but to basically set a lifestyle to where, like, yeah, I do relax after I work hard. I don't just relax. That's not my life. I work very hard. I earn my relaxation. So I try to teach that to my kids without creating some kind of complex. I was wondering how you guys did that in your homes.
Yeah, that's awesome. I kind of like that rule. I should definitely apply it about not starting the day on the tablet or on devices. That's good. When it was warmer, my son and I, first thing in the morning, start our day with a walk. That was a non-negotiable habit that we got into. But it was funny how quickly he looked forward to those, getting the morning run in, because we started practicing it. And, again, we adapted to that habit. So, creating like exercise and activity as part of my kids' routine and part of my routine um, had made it things a lot easier for him to understand the importance of movement, being active, and exercise.
Anthony's probably getting chased by his dogs right now, but it's a family-friendly show, so we're okay with that.
No, I'm good.
When
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say I'll definitely say that I've never have, and I don't um, put restrictions on things, right? I don't tell my kids that they have to, they can't watch TV or they have to do this, or they, if they get a reward, right, they earn it. They don't have to, go outside and play, and then you can earn some TV. And the reason I don't, or I never have, was I want my kids' motivation to come from within them, right, from the inside. And there have been times that I sure as hell felt like doing that, right? To curve their behavior or try to coerce them into doing something that I knew was good for them. And it's tough to do, right? It's tough to see your kid doing things that you don't approve of or you think is not in their best interest or might be even harming them. Um, and it took me a long time to try to sort this out and try to find ways to go about it in a more appropriate way that I thought would be beneficial to them. So instead of telling them, oh, you got to go out inside and play and then you can watch TV, or a common one is you have to finish your homework and then you can watch TV. We hear this parents say this all the time. And what I did with my kids was I actively allowed them to start making choices, right? And they did this subconsciously, and to a degree, I did it because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just trying to go through the process by saying, all right, I don't want to yell at them, I don't want to threaten them, I don't want to force them to do things, and in the same time, I don't want to bribe them, or I don't want to manipulate them into doing stuff. And there's two reasons, right? The first reason is, which I speak out against a lot, is I don't want them to grow up and have other people hold things over their heads to try to manipulate and make them do things they don't want to do, because these are learned behaviors. The other thing is what I said before, is about the motivation, right? There's always things that will motivate us extrinsically, right? With the external world, we want stuff. We're going to have to go and do things we don't like to get those things, which is fine. But as a man, I make that choice in everything I do, right? I don't have anybody directing me towards that. And I wanted to make sure my kids experience that naturally on their own. So you know what? Sometimes they might play a little too long on the computer, or they might watch TV a little bit too long, or they might not do their homework. But it's a process, or it was a process in my house. And I can tell you over the years now, it's 24 years later, 3 kids. Um, they're pretty motivated, right? They're dedicated into what they do. They for the most part, they can think clearly on a task. They're not distracted. And one of the greatest things is a lot of the stuff they do benefits them, right? They eat healthy, they exercise, they read, they take care of their mind. Um, and I'm not saying that that's the direct result, right? It's correlation is not 100%, but I planted those breadcrumbs, and it was sort of an experiment, right? It really wasn't planned, but now that I think back on it and look as how everything transpired, I can say, yeah, man, there's definitely no need to manipulate your kids. The same way I could say there's no need to force them.
And I would say on that, especially with that last point is actually pretty cool, because you look back and you're like, oh, this did lead to a good outcome. I thought it would. I had no idea. And that's a lot of what fatherhood is I think I'm doing the right thing. I'm trying to be the example, but we're on here talking about fatherhood, trying to be our best, doing these things, leading by example. The worst thing in the world would be for me to sit here and talk to you men and like, yeah, you got a good nutrition, have a healthy, meal out there. And then I leave here and you guys get a photo of my kids and they're both massive. They're both carrying an extreme amount of excess body fat. And unfortunately, we do live in a world where perception is given a greater value than actualization. Oh, my kids, look at all the fun we're having. We're all working out together. But literally, It's just that one quick photo of them next in the gym. Not like, get out of my way. And you're like, man, you don't play with your kid. You don't run around with your kid. And so I think there are two things I would like to throw you guys' way. And sort of, for the chat, obviously, if you have a question, throw it out there. We'll address it. But for you guys, I would love to hear how you go about, or what you recommend somebody else going about, getting themselves moving with their kids. And so that's one part of it. And the other one is getting their kids involved with the cooking process, involved with the food process and what's going into their body. So a dad's listening to this, they're like, all right, dudes, you got me primed. I've been sitting here for 37 minutes, actually 35 minutes. We were 2 minutes late, 35 minutes sitting there rocking with you guys. So what do I do? How do I get this ball rolling? Do I just tell them we're eating this way? Or do I just start, hey, let's go food shopping together and looking at the healthier things? Do you play with them, or do you give them a program? Hey, this is your program. Here's mine. We work together. So I'd love to hear your guys' view on that, because there are a lot of paths we can take. None are wrong if they're done with the intention of improving the family. But what's your recommendation? And Cala, actually, you're literally the professional in this. So let's start with you.
Sure. Yeah, you got to include them. You got to include them in the food prep, where you buy the food. And you hit the nail. You got to make it fun. Again, it really depends on how old your kids are, but I can only speak from my experience. Our son is 3. And so he won't cook with me every meal or every morning with breakfast. But the days that we do, and we're including something new, he gets excited for. Whether it be, him simply cracking an egg in a bowl, mashing a banana, stirring whatever he needs to stir. Because he's young, it's pretty easy to include him in these kind of things. But, over time, he's going to also be, it's also going to be like a normal habit and behavior. He's going to grow up thinking, yeah, we are supposed to cook together as a family. We are supposed to make time for food preparation, make time to learn more about nutrition. So starting, just include them in the process, include them in your self-improving journey so they can also improve. Something that I'm considering now, like, I'm kind of like, adapted into, my rhythm of eating, how I prep my food, and, how I train. And so something I always consider is, I need a new challenge, because for my kid, everything's new, everything's a challenge. So, a goal of mine for 2022 is to consider starting mixed martial arts. I don't know what yet, but it's a type of training that I haven't really dove into. I've always kind of been curious about. So I'm gonna, challenge myself to go into this new activity, this new routine, and that's going to, I think, help me have a better understanding of my kid that is also going through these new challenges, these new routines. So, putting myself in my kid's shoes and growing together in this self-improving journey.
Cal, you said your son is 3.
Yeah.
So how much of what you're doing now, right, how you're changing and you're growing and you're getting stronger, do you see it impacting him directly? Are there like things you're noticing that he's noticing in you? Or is there something that, you see behaviors that are changing in him that he's adapting or adopting from what you do, right? Are you starting to see that at 3 years old?
Yeah, big time. He knows when, it's time for me to go exercise. So, and sometimes I train at my parents', so sometimes he'll join me. Now he's obviously not doing anything remotely to what I'm doing, but he's at least seeing me there. He's seeing that, I'm getting prepared, getting the clothes ready. And he acknowledges that's part of my habit. That's part of my routine. And so he's learning that, he's seeing his father prioritize his health. So, and I'm noticing him get excited when we are running outside or playing outside. Even for Halloween, he wanted to be Hulk because Hulk had big muscles.
Yeah.
So
That's
so you know,
awesome.
and I think that was a big part of that is because he knows that, you know, daddy wants big muscles.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
cool,
man,
man.
listen. All right, I'll go. No, that's awesome, Cala. You know, I think the more that we can show our kids this, our own confidence, our own strength, our inner strength, and they can see their father as a person who in, enjoys his life, is enjoying the process of becoming stronger, is proud of what he's worked on and who he's become. I think this is something that will benefit them their whole life, right? As far as you know, I talk a lot about how your kids are mirrors,
Mhm.
and if we're constantly yelling, screaming, we're hitting our kids, of course they're going to grow up and they're going to be anxious and angry and hitting other people, and they're going to be violent, and they're going to learn how to use violence to solve problems. If we have patience and we're calm and we communicate, that's what they're going to learn. Same thing with ourselves, with fitness, right? Their body image and how they see themselves. What better way to have our children look in the mirror and be proud of who they are, because dad's looking in the mirror and he's proud of who he is, right? What he's worked on, what he's accomplished. And I think that's, you know, that's something that we need to start not only understanding, but something that we need to work spreading that message with parents, right? When you see your kids and they're overweight and they're depressed, you need to look at yourself, right? You need to start fixing things within you. And to answer Zach's question about, you know, how do we start this and how do we get it going? Um, you're the adult. When your kid's a little, make a conscious awareness to buy healthy foods, to eat healthy. They have no say on what you buy, right? They have to eat what you feed them. And again, we're not forcing them, but if they're constantly seeing you eat healthy, buying good foods, because we're the adult, we're in charge, that sets the foundation. And even if your kids are older, even if they're 10 or maybe, you know, 15, you can still start then, right? You can still make that change and start eating healthy and fixing you. And hopefully there's not a lot of trauma that was in the house, and your kids don't have emotional problems. And as you change your health habits to healthy, they'll follow instead of pushing back and saying, you know, you always tell me what to do. I hate you, dad. So it's about always building those relationships.
You know, and a great way to look at that is how Cala was saying, you know, it's got to be fun. You got to play. You know, a lot of healthy living. I mean, let's actually address this for what it is. A lot of parents will say, I would do anything for my child. But the truth is, they would do anything that was within their comfort zone for their child. I would die for them. Well, you're literally dying faster than you should for them by being overweight. You know, and it's easy to take the low angle, the low blow. Oh, fat. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you love that child, they deserve your best, and your fuel to become your best when it is hard. When you do have to break your own habits, your own the routine that you built, your own comfort level, if you will. You have to break all of that. But when you look at those little eyes, like, dude, I have 2 pictures of my kids right here. And I keep that in front of my computer because that's what I look whenever I'm sitting here at this computer and I'm like, I'm tired. Why am I doing what I'm like? I look down and I'm like, nah, I can do this. Those little eyes should be infinite fuel. They should push you. Like, you're never too tired to save yourself to be a better example for them. And, you know, when you look at your kids, a lot of times there's this sense of restriction. I've got to restrict this. I've got to restrict this from them because that's how you cut the calories and all this. And it's pain. They hate working out. They hate eating right. Dude, if you open my fridge, well, we used to have a thing. Right now it's just out in the open. But we used to have this little container that said kid snacks, and they could eat it whenever they wanted. It was apples, it was pears, bananas, or whatever it was. You can eat this whenever you're hungry. It doesn't have to be such restriction that you must only have water, and if you're hungry, eat ice. That's how I was brought up. If we were between, and dude, let me tell you a story. Oh man, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 o'clock, noon, 5 o'clock. If you were 15 minutes late, you weren't eating. 7, 12, 5. That's how I grew up. It was military. In between those, if I was hungry, have water. Made sense. You know, your body, oftentimes you are dehydrated when you're hungry. But if I was really hungry, eat some ice. And what I found out by chewing and eating all that ice, it actually, my body had to burn calories just from thermogenics to heat it up. So I was actually making myself hungrier by eating that ice as a kid. Now, I was a lean kid. You know, I was in great shape. I was never an obese kid, neither of my siblings. So we didn't experience that. But I worked with so many men who have found themselves in a position where getting the family healthy was like literally dropping a bomb on that family. It made their family situation so much worse, not because of the fitness or the nutrition, but because of how they went about it. They became militant. It wasn't fun. There was no play. Dude, when I say work out with your kid, go play tag with your kid. Don't bring your kid to the basement and say, do curls, kid. You're going to have big
Right.
muscles. No, man, go play tag. Go run around. Go climb a tree. Go hike. You know, in Cala, I'm sure you've come across where, let's say the kid is so overweight that they can't even do those simple things. What are some good, maybe non-heavy impact or high stress activities? I mean, let's say an 8-year-old who's carrying a significant amount of weight and they can't go running around from 8 to 18. What can they start doing without breaking their children?
Go to the park. Go to the park. Even swinging on a swing. A lot of parks have those rock walls. Anything that's going to get them moving. Any activity is better than no activity. But again, you got to make it fun, especially if you got to put your mind inside of that 8-year-old. Telling them that you're going to exercise, especially if they're overweight, is probably not going to be, sound fun. But telling them that you're going to the park, or telling them that, even something like paintball, laser tag, something where it's a game that's active, will definitely be a help.
Yo, this guy Cal is crazy, man. I can't believe you got him on here. Go to the park, dude.
Do something with your
There's
kids.
global warming. There's fucking deadly viruses. There's murder
My
hornets.
park's closed. COVID.
It could be super dangerous, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Go to the
You know,
park, go outside.
One of the interesting
Crazy.
things when it talks about cooking, or not cooking with the kids, but getting kids to eat better, we have found, I think the three of us independently while working with men have found the answer: make your kid a part of it. I don't like this. Hey, come on, let's pick some food. You pick the peppers, cut the peppers, slice it in, throw it in, dude. All of a sudden they're like, I'm all about this. Hey, mom, I made this. Let's eat it. And they wolf it down, you know? It's the same meal they just said they hated, but you make them a part of it. Guess what that is? That's fun. Why we're so serious. We got our heads so far up our masculine asses. We forget to have a good time with our kids and play tag, to let them cut some peppers around, and throw some things into it.
Yeah, man. You have to. You got to bring that peace and love into the home. You want to be crazy, hardcore, and angry. Go outside. Go yell at somebody at the grocery store. But inside the house, definitely, man. Cooperation. And when you're able to create that environment, Zach, right? When you're able to have your kids in the home, and some are cooking, some are setting the table, some are cleaning up after dinner. It's what the family unit should be doing, right? It's what we should be getting back to. It's how we should be operating, and not just because it's what families do, but it's because everybody's working together. Everybody's coming for a common goal. And those are actually life skills that help your kids later
Absolutely.
on, right? When they go into the world and they, that's what they're learning, to cooperate with people and to help people out and be a part of something. So a lot of that is missing now in families, right? Like what Cala was saying before, it's fast food, microwave pizzas, quick meals. Nobody's really focused on what's important anymore. Everybody's so distracted.
I think it's also because a lot of people don't even see obesity as a health crisis. Nobody's talking about it. So they look at their overweight kid, and they think, oh well, he'll have a growth spurt, he'll grow out of it. But that doesn't happen if you don't change the habits. That doesn't happen when you keep selecting ultra processed foods over high nourishing foods. That doesn't happen when you are continuously being in a regressive state with your eating habits than progressive one.
And back to the point of, well, if you really love your kid, you do anything for them. Take a step back and look at what they're doing to these obese kids. They're missing life opportunities and life experiences. So I often say, you can't see the view from the top of the mountain if you can't make it to the top of the mountain. You got to be able to hike that. You got to be able to climb that. But also, if you've got a son or daughter, how many boys or girls aren't connecting with them? That could have been lifelong friends. That could have been great business. And so like their squad and their sphere of influence and network could be so much larger. But because your kid is the fat kid, they can't keep up. So it's like, hey, well, I would love to have you come do this thing, but you're too big. You can't keep up with what we're doing, and I don't want you to feel bad. So the person's trying to be a kind person by not putting themselves in or putting the obese kid in that situation. But the parent, by not helping that kid get to a leaner, more active weight where they can go and keep up with their friends, that's missed relationships. That's missed love opportunities. That's missed, like I said, business or fitness opportunities. I mean, not fitness, like professional. If you go in to sit down to the resume and like, hey, you look really good on paper, but you show up and you're just so big, they're like, man, you're not fitting the role. We're trying to look a certain part of this business, and you don't look like you take care of yourself. How are you going to take care of us, and how are you going to represent our brand? If I were sitting here and I looked like Peter Griffin, how many fathers would respect me? How many fathers would really think like that guy? Yeah, he's got it together. The family alpha, like the family fat ass. And I'd be like, shit, like how can I argue with that? And that's why I share the photos and some of the things I do in the gym, because I want people to see like this isn't, I'm not some fat dude in the basement, named Mike, who's fucking pretending to be like somebody I'm not. Because you have to show that because people do it. But your kids should never fall into that window. Your child, be there for them. Through your example, you've got to embody those values. You can't espouse them. Your kid is going to find less love, less friendship, less memories, and less just Polaroids hung on their lifeline because they were too big and they were passed up on the opportunity. And that it's unfortunate, but it's also reality. The survival of the fittest, that's still a little something in our mammal brain up there. We see lean people, we can judge a lot about them. They value this. You can tell by somebody's body a lot of what they value. I'm not saying everything, but some things they can really stick to.
Yeah, I'm valuing nylon right now.
Dude, I love that Band-Aid, though. It goes with your eyes.
I got a few of them.
Did they ask if you wear sleeves? You're like, don't worry. Nothing's going to touch this. I don't wear sleeves.
Dude, I can't even get a shirt on. So you're getting tank tops whether you like it or not. Shocker, right?
OnlyFans. Oak and Rock OnlyFans. That's cool. I mean, we're coming up on the hour. It's been a good chat. And honestly, I love talking to you guys. I mean, just fatherhood in general. But I think this one, we navigated the minefield. It's easy to pile on parents. And I think we've done a good job not doing that. And, especially parents who are still going through the struggle. Because if they're not at the point where they are getting themselves locked in, they're just, well, I'm trying. Well, going for a walk once a week and then eating as bad as you eat, and that's not trying. You're not really trying. It's like you want it, you want it, you know what you should do. It's just too hard. I think there are some people right there. And Cala, I think you have a program that can help these people because you don't work just in the body, you help the mindset. So could you talk to what Greater Forever is and sort of, I've seen it, but for someone who has no idea, they're just looking at you like, all right, dude, you're the fitness guy on the panel. What the hell is Greater Forever?
Greater Forever to me means always moving the goalpost. So you can focus on short-term goals in order to accomplish the long-term wish. So, you want to lose 10 pounds. Okay, you lose 10 pounds. Now what? It's so easy for people to, yo-yo dieting is so popular, so common because people only focus on the short-term goal, and then they go, okay, I've reached that goal. Now I can go back. Well, it's not about going back. It's about always progressing, always growing. There's always ways to improve as long as you're always, up having a new goal to try to accomplish. So, you mentioned that the first thing that I talk about is sustainable fat loss. That does not mean, dieting forever. It means applying the habits that you need to do in order to remain lean, remain with a good physique. It's not a 6-week program and then you're lean forever. It's adapting the habits that you need to do in order to sustain a healthy relationship with yourself, with your eating behaviors, and your life. I kind of want to do, if it's cool, we got 5 minutes here, it seems like.
There's no timeline, man. You let it roll as long as you want.
I wanted to give like some tactical methods. A lot of parents think they know what to do. They think they know what they need to do, and they don't really do it because they don't know what to do. Um, if you are unsure about nutrition, we are living in a time where it is so easy to learn. One of the greatest things that I think you could do is download a food tracking app and simply just track what you're eating. I don't want you to, put in macros. I don't want you to put in any targets. Just for yourself, put in what you're eating, then see how much you're eating, what you're not eating, how, what you're eating too much of. Learn what foods will give you proper protein. Learn what foods will easily hit your carb targets, easily hit your fat targets. And then once you understand the nutrient content of foods, share this with your kids. Tell them what foods they're going to eat that's going to make them stronger. Tell them what foods they can eat that is going to not let them get sick. Tell them what foods is going to eat that's going to taste really good and why it tastes really good. And so, you mentioned the restrictive mindset. It's so popular. A lot of people think, oh, I just gotta eat less and move more. Yeah, as much as that is true, you can select high nourishing foods that are low calorie that also provide a high volume of food. So number one, best starting tip is learn the nutrient content of food, download a food tracking app, and just kind of see what you're already doing to start.
So I'll be authentic and share that this is literally the worst part of my training is tracking food. I have my Fitness Pal. I pay for the pro version, and it's the hardest habit, dude. And I know that's a straight up excuse. And Phil Foster is my trainer, and he's going to watch this and I'll be hearing it. I will get a text. He will let me know. Yeah, next one. Dude, I admit it, though.
I don't even know you anymore.
It's hard. Dude, I have been eating more than I've ever eaten, and my body looks the best it's ever looked. And so to Cala, to that point of restriction, I've actually eaten more. It's just the right things now.
Yeah.
Getting rid of alcohol was huge. That was a great, I was consuming way too many calories for how much I lost by not drinking. It's a problem. And for a lot of people, if you're looking to get healthy, I mean, honestly, drop the booze just for you don't have to go like stone sober for life, but it's a lot of extra calories you don't need. And it's a lot harder to recover physically from a heavy workout if you're recovering from a hangover. So that was a great thing for me. Good tip for you, but something I'm looking to do, and this is one of my 2022 ones. I'm trying to start it now is getting really consistent with the MyFitnessPal. So the fact that you made that your number one, Phil's been kicking my ass about this for freaking months now. It's, you can only ignore it so many times. So I'm just straight up admitting, look, that is harder for some people. I'm one of those people because I'll do breakfast, I'll do lunch, I'll forget dinner. I'll forget all day, and then I'll try to go back and put it in like, I didn't know how much chicken I had that day. It's a fistful, So it's the consistency there. I have seen it work wonders for people who can really stick to it because it's impressive. And that, for all the shit I get right, that's like one thing I keep getting wrong. And it's just failure to be as disciplined as I should be. But another reminder came tonight.
Yeah. And just want to note that, tracking food is not a way to live. It's just a way to learn. So, you don't have to think that you have to track your food forever, every time, all the time. It's more so that if you have no idea of the food that you're putting in your mouth, that is, I think in today's era, that is the best way to learn.
So you don't go down to like protons and electrons? You don't go that far?
No.
What type of fork did you use when you were eating?
That's week 2.
See, when Zac said he was going to be authentic, I thought he was going to actually take a jab at you for a minute. I'm glad he made it about him. I thought he, I was figuring maybe he'll make fun of your Band-Aids or something, some stupid shit like that. But
I save it. I can only hit one panel member at a time. All right, Cala, I've got links to all of your stuff below. Appreciate your time, brother. People,
Awesome,
if you're
man.
listening to this, the man's living it. He's got a 3-year-old and he's already seeing signs there. It's never too early to start. It's never too late to start. Just start today. You listen to this, if you spend your time watching this, well, you're not trying to be a well-watched person. You're trying to improve your life. That's why we talk about these things. And it starts with you. You can't point at the kid and say, hey, kid, you need to eat healthier. You need to do more. I'm an adult. I could be fat. No, embody your values. Don't just espouse them. I can't say it enough. But Cala, thank you for coming on, man. And then for those who are looking to get started, like I was just saying, Greater Forever, the link's below. Check it out. Go and find the coach. Get the ball rolling, get started in the process. And then from there, Cala can point you in the right direction. Anthony, you don't have a cool fitness website I can send people to, but you do have peacefulfathers.com. So if you're not watching that, you can become the most peaceful and most jacked father if you follow these two guys. And me, if you're looking for some accountability, that is what we do. Join the Fraternity of Excellence. But I want to appreciate you two and everybody that tuned in. Your time is valuable. You spent it with us. Now go apply it. Make that time worth something. This has been another episode on the live Oak and Rock Fatherhood session. Y'all have a great night.
You too, man.